Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome to, we have a special series, special guest tonight. And tonight we're going to be bringing in Tiffany Ashton. Let me see if she's ready. I can't hear you. Let me see if I can unmute you. It won't let me.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. You know it's Tuesday, and it's always hectic around this season of the year.
Right? So thank you so much for joining us today. You know, you always come through.
Thank you for having me
on the podcast, and a lot of people had a lot of questions about you and ClinEssentials.
Okay.
So I promised everybody I would do a special episode with you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
And so for those of you who don't know, Tiffany Ashton is the director of operations at ClinEssentials. And she's joining us today so she can talk about all of their services, all their products, the trainings that they offer, and then answer any clinical research questions that you may have. So we have a very packed, fun-filled night. And I just want to make sure I see one person, Sajita. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please forgive me. I see you said good evening, but I like to make sure that everybody can hear and see us. So let me know if you can hear us. Type 1 if you can hear us, 2 if you can see us. Just to make sure. Because I did have a LinkedIn issue one time, and I did a whole show and nobody saw it.
Okay, perfect.
So if you can hear us, see us, type 1 and 2. I don't see anything come through yet. Let me check on my end.
Hear me okay, Jasmyn, on your side?
Say that again. You're kind of breaking up. Let me check my internet. Okay, Oladuno, Walisha. I see several people. Nina. Okay, y'all can hear us. Okay. And it looks like Tiffany might be having some technical difficulties. So Judy says thank you guys so much for letting me know y'all can hear us. So let's just give Tiffany a few more minutes to join back in. I think she's having some technical difficulties, but we'll work through it. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, just to give you guys a little bit more information about Tiffany, like I said, she's the director of operations at ClinEssentials, and they offer several different things. They offer and things not only on the sponsor CRO side, but on the site side as well for study coordinators, PIs, things of that nature. So they offer different products and resources specifically to the monitoring process. They have CRA audit notes. They have different notes and electronic coming in the future and paper ways to track the monitoring notes that come up. So whether that's protocol deviations, whether that's hybrids. Thanks for joining us. So good to see that you joined us. But they have a bunch of different things. Like for study coordinators, let's say that it's the end of the visit, you have a bunch of different action items, things like that. You don't know where to start, you're overwhelmed, you don't know where to look. So they have a system of tools that you can use to not only quickly, easily identify what needs to be done, but then prioritize it. And it works both ways, whether you're from the site end or the sponsor end. Let me see. I want to make sure she didn't text me. She might be, I think she's having some issues. And so they have those products, they have those tools, the electronic and paper tools, like I said. But then they also have career services. So if any types of clinical research questions that you have, it's kind of like Tiffany calls it the 1-800 clinical research hotline. She'll talk about that more. But essentially, they have a number where, and you can be any type of clinical research professional. So you can be a CTA, a study coordinator, a CRA, a CTM, a project manager, a clinical research coordinator. You can be essentially any of those roles, and you can call this number. And if you have questions, you can get help, you can get support through this. Tiffany calls the 1-800 clinical research hotline. So they have that. And then on top of that, and you can, Tiffany's going to talk all about how you can schedule appointments and book and take advantage of that service. But then they offer a CTM training for those of you who are interested in taking your career to that next level. So ClinEssentials really has a bunch of different tools, resources, services for all types of clinical research professionals. So Tiffany's going to talk to us about that today. So welcome, Tiffany. I was just telling everybody about some of the things that you have.
All
While
right.
you were so how about you give yourself an introduction? And you're kind of breaking up. I don't know if other people, you're kind of freezing too.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, but you keep kind of freezing up. And everybody else, let me know what you're seeing too. Are you able to hear and see Tiffany? Is she freezing up? Am I freezing up? Let us know so we can troubleshoot and try to figure out the best way to proceed. And if you're responding, there's a delay. So if you said something and I haven't said anything, that's why. There's a delay when you comment. Tiffany, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hear that you're saying something, but I can't hear specifically what you're saying. Ugh, no. Technology, no. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Nina. Okay. Okay. Ramla. Okay. Thanks everybody for letting me know. Yeah, she's freezing up. So it's not something that I'm doing on my end. So let's see if she can get that resolved, because I know everybody has a lot of questions for her. So while she's figuring that out, and let me let her know that everybody's saying the same thing. It's technology, right? Um, so thank you guys for bearing with us. I really appreciate it. But in the meantime, okay, I see everybody saying the same thing. She's freezing up. But in the meantime, I do want to go ahead and get started with a list of questions, because she will be taking questions. So, and I see Dr. Joan. Hi, thanks so much for joining us. So, anybody that, if you're a clinical research professional and you're struggling with, let's say, time management, if you're struggling with organization, if you're struggling with, let's see, she might be. Okay, Tiffany. Now
I think I'm gonna just
say that again. You're freezing up again. Can you hear me? Yeah, you're freezing up again.
phone. Why it's not liking it. Yeah. Let's see.
Okay. Well, while she's still working on that, go ahead and start dropping in your questions. And I see everybody saying the same thing. So, yeah, let's let her figure that out. But we want to go ahead and start working on questions. So, if you're a clinical research professional, you're struggling with time management, organization, maybe you're struggling with just basic general clinical research questions, but you don't feel confident or comfortable asking your manager. You don't know where to turn. You don't want to just read a book or go to the FDA website, go to ICH GCP guidelines. You don't want to just read that. You want someone to really break down your question for you and help you understand big picture, not just, the immediate task action that you need to take today, but big picture. You want some more help. You want some more assistance. Drop your questions in the comments. I see Saya, I think it's Sia. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, let me know. But I see your question, so you'll be first in line. But go ahead and drop those questions. If you're a CTA study coordinator, somebody that's interested in taking your career to the next level, and you have questions about what takes place on a typical monitoring visit, or what takes place on a typical day-to-day prep for a monitor, or from the site's perspective, what to expect on the site. Whatever questions you have, go ahead and drop them in the comments so we can start generating that list, and we'll just take them in order. So, Tiffany, let's see if we can.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're kind of grainy, kind of freezing in and out.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in?
Yeah.
They don't want us to have a good show at all.
I know. We talked about this earlier today. We couldn't even have a phone call.
Is this better at all, Jasmyn?
Say that. Oh, that's better. It looks like that might have helped.
Okay. That might have worked.
I can see you clearly. I can hear you clearly. So let's run with it.
Okay, let's run with it. Apologies, guys. And this is what happens in clinical research. You got to be able to wing it on the fly. You have your person, Jasmyn, she's winging it while you're running meetings or doing SIVs or anything like that. It's never a dull day, and you have to not let it affect, just, derail you and what you're going to say. So glad I was able to get it connected, because this is how it goes in clinical research. You always have to be ready.
Absolutely. This is like, you're right. This is a perfect example. So when the first time you got cut off, I was saying, please introduce yourself and let everybody know, give a brief introduction of not only just your current role at ClinEssentials, but a little bit about, what your clinical research journey has looked like.
Okay, so I got started almost 20 years ago, right out of high school, as a clinical research coordinator. But I got my start as an admin assistant at a small site management organization. So I was just doing admin work, and they had asked me about would I be interested in learning more about clinical research? And as I was observing, I just loved the CRC role. So they actually taught me and kind of got that on-the-job training to be a CRC within a year of me starting as an admin assistant. And from there, I just kept progressing. And so I became a lead CRC after about 4 years. And then I went on to be a CRA. And then I've been in the CTM space for about the last 10 years, as well as working with the team of clinical research professionals at ClinEssentials, creating products, tools, and resources, and our newest edition, training courses for clinical research professionals to really help them and just support them in their role in the industry.
Awesome. So every time I know your story, but every time I hear it, I'm always amazed. So yes, you have like decades of experience, y'all. This is like,
We've seen it all. We've seen it all. Either myself or someone else on the team.
Right. So hopping into ClinEssentials and all the products and services that you offer. So share with us, let's start with the products. Share with us about the products and, who they're for, what they look like? How
Mhm.
can they help people that are interested in them?
Okay, so as a CRA, they probably, when you got your initial training, they probably told you use these yellow sticky notes when you're leaving auditing, findings for your study coordinators to resolve. And so this is what CRAs typically use. They have it in their bag. It works, very, convenient to throw a yellow pad in your bag. But when you are trying to maximize your efficiency on site, and you may have 20 research charts to go through, medical records, you got 8 hours on site, you need to increase your efficiency just a tad bit more. And so that's why we created our line of the CRA audit notes. And they kind of flew up but these are the CRA audit notes. And we actually have 16 different catchphrases. So we have please complete, protocol deviation, per the source, please reconcile, prior to the next visit, per the ECRF, please clarify, please file. We have a blank one that you can use. Serious adverse events of special interest, adverse event, please add to the drug accountability log, concomitant medication, and temperature excursion. So when you place these color-coded audit notes on your source charts, I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's just the yellow stickies. So this is what it looks like when it's on the yellow stickies. You leave them for your CRC. One of them says protocol deviation. One of them says, please report to the IRB. And the other one says prior to the next visit. If your CRC comes in to try to decipher what is most urgent, there's 3 yellows. It's not very helpful. However, on the other hand, if you see we have these color coordinations, protocol deviation is in red. Please report to the IRB is in pink. And the next one is prior to the next visit. So if I'm a study coordinator, I pick this up prior to the next visit, I'm not prioritizing that. That's not a priority for me. But protocol deviation and please report to the IRB, I'm going to action those first. And so just that change in color from yellow sticky note to action that stands out and you can tell based off of the color, alleviates a lot of back and forth and actually increases the efficiency of your study coordinators when they're going to address action items. So they're addressing action items in about, we've seen some 25 to 30% faster than when they're using yellow sticky notes. And so that is one of our core signature products. And for the CRA, if you're seeing trends across multiple patients, please clarify. Serious adverse event, please file. Protocol deviation. You're spending so much of your time monitoring by just writing repetitive, when you can just use the pre-printed audit notes to grab what you need and then just make a couple extra points and leave it for your CRC. So that's our biggest kind of product, the CRA audit notes. And not only are they for the CRA, but they're also for the CRC as well. And that acrylic holder that you saw, you can put it in your monitoring space. And so you can ask that your monitors use those as opposed to the yellow sticky notes when they come out to monitor. Cool. So that's that in a nutshell. And then if you like a smaller size, we now have our smaller, this is half the size of the 3x3. So if you don't want this bigger 3x3, you can get the 1.5x3. That's now on the website as well. So if you prefer smaller notes, you can use the smaller notes there.
Awesome. And so we're getting a lot of thumbs up and love this. Do you offer these as individual purchases or do you offer like a package or bundle?
Yes. So we offer those individually or as a bundle. We have CRA starter packs. We have starter packs for regulatory personnel, unblinded CRAs. Also, for the sites, they can just buy the full bundle with the acrylic holder, and you get 2 acrylic holders to put in your monitoring space. And then if you want to be more strategic or streamlined based off of the study that you're monitoring, and you only want 4 notes, we have it's called our CRA Tools Padfolio that you can select select the 4 notes that you want, and you can put it in this little padfolio here. And so I just chose please complete prior to the next visit, protocol deviation, please clarify. If you are, those are the ones that you typically use all the time, you can get it in the padfolio that is just specific to the 4 that you use. And also in that padfolio, you have a visit to do list to kind of keep you on track for your visit. It just is a just quick check off list. And then there's an action item pad. It's a carbonless action item pad in there as well. So you can write your action item once, break it off, give your study coordinator the white copy, and then you can keep the yellow copy for when you're writing your report. So there's a lot of little tools to increase your efficiency. And a lot of sites also use this for internal communication. So for their study coordinators, maybe that are in different departments, data management, that's in another department, their PIs, their sub-Is, they may flag something that says a serious adverse event. And then when the PI looks at the source, they say, oh yeah, confirm, possibly related. They give them some more information that they could use and put in the source or the EDC system. So there's a lot of uses that you can use for the CRA audit notes, but it increases the communication between team members.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And y'all don't feel free to put in your questions as she's speaking. You don't have to wait until the end when we open it up for questions. So if anything, she mentions anything, talks about anything, you have a question, please drop it in the comments and we'll get it answered immediately.
Yeah.
So for this people that are, interested in purchasing these, is it just for the CRAs on the CRA side, or do you have sites and PIs and study coordinators? Can they purchase and use them as well?
Yeah, it's everyone. So some sites, they want the organization, they want the streamlined communication. So they buy the acrylic holder and bundle for their monitoring space. And we have sites that have 5 monitoring spaces, they have 5 sets. And then they ask their monitors to use that instead of the yellow sticky notes. And then we also have CRAs that put them in their work bag, because from the CRA side of point of view, they want to be more efficient and they have a high enrolling site or a site that may have a few more issues than most, and they're spending a lot of time writing and writing and writing. So they're like, I need to increase my efficiency. So on both sides, we also have QA, quality assurance, or even oversight personnel like that go out every so often. CRA line managers, when they monitor, they go out and they use the products. So it's really for anyone that's going to be on site level or CRA level.
Awesome. And Wendy Crawford says, what's the website? I just dropped the link in the chat, in the comments, but I don't know. I think it might only show on Facebook and YouTube, maybe not LinkedIn. But it's ClinEssentials.com. So that's ClinEssentials.com. And at the end, I'm going to make sure everything we discussed, I'm going to drop the links to the website, to Tiffany's LinkedIn page, to ClinEssentials, their website. I'm going to drop all the links you need and make sure they're in the comments at the end. So don't worry, but it's ClinEssentials.com. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody, whether you're on the site side, the CRA side, you want to definitely check out these tools. They're definitely, very helpful in terms of streamlining the visit, streamlining the process of deviations, tasks, everything that you typically do during a monitoring visit. Whichever side you're on, these are the tools that you need. These are the tools for you.
Yeah. So yes, that's what we specialize in, ClinEssentials. Anything to make you more efficient. We also have like some task lists for the CRCs, like just to kind of organize yourself for the week or the day, priorities for your day, calls, text messages to send, your patient schedule, just some organization. And then for the CRCs, the CRAs, we have one that helps you keep record of your time, because so many times we are split across projects. So at the bottom, it's like, hey, Have you been spending time training, travel, site management, follow-up letter, closeout letter, trip report writing, administrative, anything else? So this helps you, on a weekly basis, just kind of keep yourself organized, especially for our new CRAs. These are the tools that are going to help you set your systems in place. So then as you go along, you're strong CRAs, you're organized, you have your systems set up early in your career.
Absolutely. And one thing I did forget throughout all the technical issues in the beginning was to say that if you stay, all the attendees that stay till the end, Tiffany has a special bonus for you. And Darcy says, is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. But we're not sure how long we might keep it up. So you definitely want to, watch it live and definitely stay to the end so that you can get the bonus.
Yes.
So we talked about the tools, the notes. Now let's talk about that. Everybody wants to know about this 1-800 clinical research. Tiffany calls it the hotline.
It's the clinical research hotline. I mean, I used to be a monitor. Sometimes I would get stuck. Sometimes you're like, you may spend time, hours trying to find an answer, or maybe you're embarrassed to ask the question, like, maybe I should know this, but I don't know this, but who can I ask? And so the hotline is really a place where in a confidential manner, you can just call and you can talk about your project. You can, brainstorm. If you say, hey, I have an investigators meeting coming up, I don't know how to plan this. We can say, okay, here's some steps to planning this. I have a closeout visit. I don't know what I should reference. Make sure you pull your return instructions, your drug destruction instructions. Make sure you get your PI spill. What are you going to say to your PI when he walks in the room, he or she walks in the room? So these are things that we can kind of coach you through if you are, don't have a colleague or a manager that you feel comfortable approaching and, asking these questions to. We help with resume review, interview prep, and we'll go through a prep interview and we'll say, okay, let's tweak this answer a little bit. Let's be more enthusiastic with the response. Let's add a little bit more. So we help kind of guide you, coach you through that scenario of those interviews that you would typically see in the clinical research industry. So this is the clinical research hotline. Now, it's not where you can pick up and just get us on the phone right then and there. So don't call us in a pinch. Your PI just walked in or just walked out and you're like, hey, no, we can't help you on the spot, but you can schedule. We have a calendar and you can schedule some time with one of the consultants. And if you have a preference, sometimes I have people reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I want to schedule, but I want to make sure you get my case. Just send me a message and then I can, kind of work with the scheduling team to make sure you get on my schedule as well to address any questions you have. But that's the clinical research hotline. A lot of people have used it. And I really wish it was available when I was back in the day when I was struggling through, different things along my career.
Me too. You and me both. So let's say I'm a CTA and I need to reconcile the TMF and I have all these questions, like I'm a new CTA, I have all these questions I'm scared to ask my manager.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think I don't know what I'm doing. And they're giving me all these things I need to file. They're telling me I need to QC the documents.
Yeah.
Is that a case where you can schedule this appointment and get some help?
Yeah. And sometimes we have to tell you, we suggest initially that you spend some time, if you're using Viva Vault, the ETMF training, the ETMF filing system, you may need to spend some time in that, maybe offline, like on the weekends, after hours, playing around. Ask them for a sandbox version of the ETMF where you can play around without making major mistakes. So they have like a play version of the ETMF. It's called Sandbox. You can go in there, you can upload documents, you can classify them, you can cancel them, and that helps you learn the steps. So when you're in your real ETMF, you're not making steps that have an audit trail, incorrect things that have an audit trail. You can't delete it without getting somebody to approve, etc. So that would be along the line of the advice. You want to get familiar with the system, look for the subject matter expert that they may have at your company in ETMF. Get very friendly with them, ask them a few questions, look for any downloads that they may have. And then from there, we'll guide you to some reports that can help you look at the missing documents there, and then how to start uploading and being strategic on how often you upload, who you ask for help, etc. So that's the career advice. We didn't talk about, I'm on a Merck study, it's a phase 2 oncology. We didn't get into any of those. You talked about the problem in a general sense, and we gave that general, feedback of where you can get some answers to your issues.
Right. Which I know that I'm glad you brought that point, because I have some people that reach out and they're really scared that they're going to be breaking some type of confidentiality
Yeah.
or something like that. But no, you don't have to worry about that. You can get help and still
Mm-hmm.
stay within your company's policies. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say that I'm a clinical research professional, regulatory coordinator, safety specialist, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling with my next move. I don't really know which direction I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Really know what options are out there. Is this a case where this person can call and get some help?
Yeah, exactly. And some of the questions we'll ask, where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years? Sometimes they'll say, well, I'm a CTA currently, I want to be a CRA. And then we kind of break it down. Okay, CRAs, your expectation is to travel 8 to 10 days on site per month. That's not including travel time, making sure that you're going to be more independent. Are you okay with these kind of scenarios? You're independent, problem solving on your own. Is that the kind of path you want to go to? Or do you want to do data management? So we talk about the options, we look at job descriptions, and then once we kind of pinpoint where we would want to go, then we work on a plan on how you would get there. And a lot of times for CTAs, CRAs that want to be CTMs, you need to just speak to your manager and let them know, hey, this is what I'm looking to do in the next 1 to 2 years. So they can have that on their radar, so they can start putting you in position for maybe a phase 4 study that's not as complicated as a phase 1 oncology study, and getting you moving towards where your ultimate career goal is. So that would be something that we can kind of coach you along, even look at resumes to see, hey, how's your resume set up? Do we need to add some more experience here that you can take in the interim?
Awesome. Awesome. So what if I am somebody who just got an interview request and I'm freaking out because I didn't really do so good on my last one. I haven't, gotten an offer yet.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, interviews coming up is next week. I don't have that much time.
Yeah.
You guys do interview prep.
Yeah. And we've had some people come, I think it was a Friday night, and they said we have an interview on Monday morning. And we did find a consultant that worked over the weekend. We don't do it all the time, but that person we were willing to work with because they were really trying, and they finally got a breakthrough on the interview, and we wanted to, to provide some support. So yes, we would do that. Depending on the role, we would take you through typical questions that they would have during an interview. So if you're a CRA, if you're new to the CRA position, no previous experience, maybe you're a study coordinator, we would ask you, how did you interact with your CRAs and your study team? Some of those situational questions, like tell me about a time that you had to you had a tight deadline and you had to prioritize 3 or 4, key deliverables. Which ones did you put in order? Which one did you do first? So we'll walk you through some of the typical scenario questions. It just really depends on what role you're going for. CTM will tell you what the questions are typically for a CTM. And you may have to be ready to do a presentation as a CTM. So that's something else we'll prepare you for, so you don't kind of walk in blind on a CTM interview.
Awesome. So it really is, we joke about it all the time, but it really is the hotline, right? Y'all cover it all.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and then sometimes we'll have resources. We have companies that we work with, and they have training. So, there's a lot of things that we try to leave you, you walk away prepared with some actionable steps and not with more questions than you started with.
Wow. And so are these, I know you talked about, and again, we're going to drop all the links, so don't panic. You'll get everything you need. You can go to ClinEssentials.com and you can book, just for the people who are like, I need to book right now.
Yeah.
But is this like a one-time session? Do you offer multiple sessions, a program, a package? What is that like?
Yeah, it depends. Some people just do drop-in sessions when they need to. There are coaching sessions that we could establish. Sometimes we do have an option. You may have to reach out to us before, but if you have 2 or 3 colleagues and you're all in the same boat, you guys can get on a joint session together. So, like if it's 2 or 3 CRCs that are looking to move into the CRA realm soon, you guys can get together on a call and, be able to both hear the information, make a game plan hold each other accountable there. So that's also an option. But it's drop-in or sessions, just depending. But they come in 30 minutes. I think the longest session we've ever done was like 3 hours, but it was an all-intensive. We wanted to make sure that person was prepared.
Awesome. So you guys really do your best to try to be flexible and accommodate each individual's, specific situation.
Yeah, we do. Because we've been there. I mean, I've been in all the positions and I've been there, and sometimes you can't get a free moment until after hours too. So we do have after hour appointments between 6 to 8 p.m. a couple days per week. So we're trying to be flexible for the industry, because we know, CRAs travel, we know CRCs are in clinic all day. We know that interviews come up last minute and you have to take advantage of the opportunity when you're given one.
Absolutely. And Adekunle says, adopt and overcome.
Yes.
That's facts.
Yeah.
And then before we get into the questions, talk to us about the CTM training, which is amazing, y'all. I actually took it because I wanted to be prepared before I transitioned over into my CTM role. But talk to us about that. It's absolutely amazing. It's wonderful. I can say this for myself because I've actually participated in it. And you guys have a new group opening up next month, right?
In January. So we have in January, every quarter, we do a live session. And the live session means that it's both self-paced and attendees will attend 5. This upcoming module will be 5 2-hour live sessions. So it's 5 weeks in a row for 2 hours. You will attend with the other class attendees, and we'll go through practical application. So we prepare for an interim analysis. We prepare an investigators meeting. We go through recruitment and retention strategies. We answer any questions. We prepare site selection notices, also project plans. We start writing some of the project plans. So we really give you the foundation that you need for a CTM to be a successful CTM. And the reason why we offer this course is we found that in many companies, they will offer just very little CTM support. They will say, they may give you 1 or 2 days of, I don't know, just some high level CTM things, but you really need to know, well, if they tell you plan an investigators meeting, you're like, I don't even know where to start. And there's like 15 steps that go into that. We break down those steps. So then you could plan an investigators meeting. So there's actionable steps. We break it down into layman's terms. What is a bid defense? What does a CTM have to do with the bid defense? What is a request for proposal? What do you have to do and contribute to a request for proposal? So everything from study startup all the way out to closeout visit. Plus, we talk about career. We talk about if you want to be a contract CTM. We talk about resume, reading job descriptions, doing interviews, just working with teams, working with your sponsors, working with your CTAs and other departments. So we just really cover everything. And this is, I can tell you hands down, you will not get this at your company. You will not. And if they say they will give you something like this, you will not get the level of detail, the practical application, and then someone that's on your team explaining, well, why did we do that? Oh, this is why, and then connecting those dots for you. So our last module that we had in September, I think we had 18 participants. Some of them were from the site side. Some of them were were CRAs that wanted to be CTMs, and then some were CTMs either have been CTMs already or were brand new CTMs. And they got, pro tips, experience, lessons learned that they don't have to go through the hard way. We were able to kind of just identify that pitfall to say, watch out for this. So now they're going into their CTM role already aware of that and not falling into that kind of trap that they may fall into as a new CTM.
Yeah. And when she says this, like I'm saying this from my own personal experience, you're not going to get this anywhere else. And they literally walk you from pre-selection all the way to close out everything you need to do as a CTM. So you definitely, and even if you aren't a CTM or you're about to transition into a CTM role, if you're a CRA, even if you're a CTA, I say study coordinator, wherever you are in your career, and you know that this is a part of your career development, one of your career goals, I still say this course is beneficial to you, not just in the CTM role, but then helping you see big picture what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to taking a trial from before selection all the way through closeout. So this is definitely for anybody, not just going into the CTM role right now, but anybody that's just, they know that that's going to be a part of their career goals.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing, Jasmyn, to add to that, as a CRA, if we have to look at the alphabet, A through Z, as a CRA, you may come in around P through like W, and then you fall off of the project. But you don't know what happened from A through P. That's what the CTM works with. So if you go from a senior CRA position right into a CTM, you're going to have a little shell shock, because you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know all of this was going on, because you've never been exposed to it. So this is why, and to be successful in the role, you have to know, why do we do this way up front? And that's because you don't want to be at closeout trying to reconcile your ETMF, and there's so many documents outstanding because we didn't set up the ETMF correctly in study startup. Yeah, so there's a lot of things you have to do way up front that's going to help you at the end. So that's what it's the course, everyone that has taken it, they learned so much, and they didn't even know what they didn't know until they started learning about it. They were like, oh, I didn't even know this was going on in the background.
Right. No, you're right. I always say you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely want to check that out. And the next class you said is January 25th if you want to do it live.
Yeah, January 25th for 5 weeks for the live. And then you do have to do kind of homework modules in between before we get to the live. So I would say probably about a 4-hour commitment per week, including the lives. Plus we have live Q&As. We're going to have them twice a month with this upcoming module. That means you can come and ask any question that you may have. A lot of students last time, they brought practical from their current day to day as a CTM, they were having issues. They wanted to brainstorm. It was almost like the CRA hotline, the clinical research hotline, but just as a part of the course. And so they just got to ask any questions that they had.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So ClinEssentials, y'all really offer it all.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Everybody. It's really a place for clinical research professionals as a whole.
It is. Yeah. And we're always developing, as we see additional need, if someone says, hey, do we have a tool like that? That may be something that's in the pipeline. We have free resources on our website as well. We have checklists for, setting up your home office if you're a brand new CRA, monitoring and informed consent. We have a checklist on there. So we also have, various checklists on our resources page within our website as well. And those checklists and resources are free. So they're not paid. You can just go in and read the article and then download if that's a checklist you want to use.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much for sharing all the products and services.
Yeah.
We have some questions that have already came in.
Yeah.
But everybody, please drop your questions in the comments. We want to make sure, this is your time to ask Tiffany whatever you want. So drop your questions in the comment. And we're gonna answer them in the order that we received them. So Sia, let me see if I can pop it up on the screen. So Sia says, I do have an associate degree from Durham Tech. I'm actively looking for entry-level positions. Currently, I am pursuing a bachelor's, and is it easier to get more jobs with associate or a bachelor's?
Okay, so you always, well, I wouldn't say always, but you want to strive towards the bachelor's in clinical research. That's going to make sure you are at an even or kind of level playing field with most other clinical research professionals. However, I started off as a clinical research coordinator while I was pursuing my bachelor's. So I was right out of high school, and I was as a clinical research coordinator working for the 4 years while I was pursuing my bachelor's. So you can get entry-level positions now while you're continuing to pursue your bachelor's. It could be regulatory, it could be clinical research coordinator, you could work in medical records, you can just be kind of front office assistant, you can be lab. So there's a lot of roles that you can do, especially at a site level with your experience currently on your way to a bachelor's.
Yes. And keep the questions rolling in. We have a few more minutes, so we're gonna take as many as we get. So the next question, please forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but it comes from Olawaswain and says, how do you track the collection of TMF required documents from sites and TMF systems?
So there's a report in most TMF systems that talks about, it's like a completeness report. And so I usually use that so you will pull it on a site level, and it will tell you all of the documents that you have within your eTMF for that particular site. And then you want to make sure you take that when you're on site to compare it to. Am I seeing a 1572 that is dated January 1st, 2022, but the last one in the eTMF is, 2021? Those are the kind of things you want to use that as a comparison when you're on site. Another thing that my old CTMs used to do when I was a monitor, they would create a regulatory checklist for me. And then when I monitored, I would complete it with specifics for my particular site. But I think VivaVault and the eTMFs now have that with like the expected document reports that are programmed in. And so the TMF reports are going to probably be the best ones to use and compare to what's on site and make sure they're there.
Awesome. Awesome. And keep the questions coming, y'all. Keep the questions coming. So this next question comes from DeMarlo. And she says, can you go from a CTA to a CRA position, or what would be the next step or position?
So yes, you can go from a CTA. You usually would go from CTA to maybe senior CTA, and then to an entry-level CRA. However, you need to make sure you speak with your line manager because they need to those are kind of different departments, and so they may have to put in a special request for you, put your name on a list or something like that for the next like entry level CRA position that they have open. So you definitely need to voice that the goal versus just thinking it's going to happen naturally, because really the natural progression is usually CTA, senior CTA, then to CTM. That's usually the progression. More so, you'll see CTAs that will go to CTMs versus CRAs. So you have to let them know you want to be a CRA. And if your company doesn't do that, that's okay. That's something during your interview process at your next company that you're voicing, hey, what is your career progression here? I would ideally like to be a CRA in the future, et cetera. Is this something that your company can offer? So it's all about just the communication that's going to know what the next step is at your company.
Absolutely. And if you can't get it within your company, y'all know I believe in it's time
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be willing to move.
Okay. Next question is from, it doesn't say who it is, it just says LinkedIn user. But how do you answer the question of the difference between SDV and SDR? And for those that, please explain the acronym SDV and SDR for those that don't know.
Yeah, so source data verification and source data review. So SDR is something that's come up pretty new. I mean, like within the last 5 or 7 years, it's been used more. But source data verification is basically checking the source to the ECRF. Do the points match? So 120 over 120 over 80 BP on the source, 120 over 80 in the EDC. That's source data verification. But source data review is more so the overall process. Does this make sense? If I take a step back from just trying to compare point to point, does this make sense? Is this patient, are they having a lot of adverse events? Are they having a lot of issues that we need to look further into? So we're not taking a look at just point to point to point to point. We're looking at the patient as a whole. You're asking critical questions. They said that they took a new medication because they had a back pain adverse event. Okay, do we see this new medication in their drug list? Like just really trying to take a look at the overall picture and not just be so point to point matching, because that's where some CRAs get into a little sticky situation because they're just doing point to point to point to point and they didn't look at the bigger picture. And so that's how you be a really good monitor. And they're trying to incorporate that more, that SDR in its entirety versus just the points that you're monitoring.
Absolutely. And let's see. I don't see any more questions, y'all. So if you have any more questions, we have planned on making this a 30-minute session. We're now coming up on an hour.
Yeah.
So if you have any more questions before Tiffany leaves, this is your time. Y'all said y'all wanted to. Okay, I see one from. She's like, no, I'm getting my question in. What is the best entry-level role that does not require clinical research experience?
Well, it depends on what kind of experience that you may have. Like if you have admin experience, you could be an admin assistant. You could help at a site level. You can be answering phones. You can be doing something like that within the clinical research setting. Some things that are more prominent now, social media, like the memes and the posting of the ads. And if you have like a marketing background, you may not have clinical research background, but a clinical research site could use you for that marketing and recruitment aspect. But along the way, some of that clinical research is going to rub off on you. And you got to learn it so you can understand what's going on. So you can get in if you kind of think outside the box for positions that you can work at within the clinical research setting, but you want to learn as much as you can once you're there. You don't want to just kind of say, I'm okay with not learning that.
Absolutely. That's one of those good ways to slide through.
Yeah, slide in like, okay, If you're a phlebotomist, like you can go in and just do blood draws, just or PK samples or something like that. But you'll eventually have to learn how protocols work and the timing for those PK samples and different things like that. So it's going to rub off on you for sure.
Absolutely. Great tips.
Mhm.
Okay, I have another one. Y'all better get them in. Got 4 more minutes. So this one is from Raja Shakar. So, hey Tiffany, will you explain some interim monitoring activities? What will you find more difficulties during interim monitoring?
Okay, so we have the interim monitoring visit. Those are the visits that occur most often on the study. So we'll have a pre-study visit initially. We'll have the SIV once the site is selected. And then after that, we'll have interim monitoring visits. Some sites will have 15, 20 interim monitoring visits until the study gets to closeout. So interim monitoring activities, you always want to start with the newly randomized patients to make sure that they were randomized appropriately to the study. So, if you're going on site for an interim monitoring visit, you want to look at, I have a video. When you link Jasmyn to our YouTube page, I have the 8 key questions to ask when you walk on site for a monitoring visit. And some of those questions are, have there been any SAEs? Have there been any, issues with the drug? And that's going to, once you go through those 8 questions, it's going to tell you how you should structure your day. But in a perfect day, if there's no SAEs, you want to start with your randomized patients to make sure they were randomized correctly. Then you want to work through your screen failures if you have time. Usually those are kind of lower on the totem pole. You want to check your IP, make sure there's no temperature excursions. They have enough supplies with the IP, diaries, lab kits. You also have to look at any visits for patients that have occurred since your last monitoring visit. And then there's another video that we have on there, the EDC reports that you should pull, because that can also help streamline your visit on like open queries, missing pages. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into an interim monitoring visit. But it just really depends what you did last time, and you kind of just pick up from last time and keep it going. We're monitoring any new visits that occurred since then and addressing any issues or retraining needs as well.
Absolutely. Great advice, y'all. 2 more minutes. I see y'all trying to roll in those last few questions. Get them in. Tiffany's not going to be with us forever. So this one is from Onyinye. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Please forgive me. What if you have biomedical science background, worked with pharmaceutical companies, and you're trying to get into clinical research? What role will you be on the lookout for? Clinical trial coordinator?
Biomedical science background with pharmaceuticals. Well,
before you go into that, I have a biomedical science background on EA, so the sky's the limit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Seems like you have a little bit more experience because you've worked with the pharmaceutical companies already. So you don't necessarily have to go into a clinical trial coordinator role. I would say the best thing to do is look at the job descriptions. Go on Indeed.com. Look up some roles. Just go to clinical research associate, medical liaison, clinical project manager, and try to match your experience to what their requirements are for the role. And then also you want to see, is this something that I want to do? So it really, the sky's the limit. You just have to kind of pinpoint what you want to do. Do you want to be a CRA? Do you want to be a CTM? Do you want to be in data management? You can be in safety or pharmacovigilance, PV. There's a lot of options with your background, but you just have to kind of see which one you would be happy in, or at least happy in the interim before you move to the next level.
Yep, absolutely. The sky is literally the limit, y'all. It's up to you and what you want to do with your career and where you want to take it, because you can literally go anywhere, which is one of the beauties about our industry. I see more questions rolling through. Come on.
I got a couple more minutes, Jasmine. I'm gonna give it to him because we had the technical difficulties up front.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
We appreciate you, Tiffany. So y'all better get them on in. Okay, Laura has another question for us. Can someone with a business administration degree with no medical experience enter into clinical research? And if so, what roles?
Yeah, depends on, look, I sound like a broken record. What do you want to do? Business administration, you can look into being a business development person. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that role, but at CROs, they have business development roles where you help drum up business for that CRO. So for like IQVIA, you may reach out to Merck and Johnson and the big pharmaceutical companies and pitch the IQVIA as a CRO of choice for them to bring additional studies to. So business administration that could be something that you lean towards. Check the job descriptions. You got to see what you would like to do. With no medical experience, clinical research coordinator. However, you will want to take some medical terminology courses, GCP courses, ICH. Even if you're not coming in with it, you want to continue to add to your skill set along the way. But those are some good entry level roles. Admin assistant there, that's good. How could you use your business administration degree? You can even maybe work with sites to help find new studies for them, and be kind of like a business development on the site level. So there's a lot of options. And then RN, I see RN behind your name. If you're a registered nurse, you actually is even easier because you have the nursing background. So yeah, but if you're speaking for someone else, there's a lot of different, little pockets of jobs, but it's mostly at the site level to get your foot in the door. That's going to be the easiest.
And y'all, please keep the questions coming. I just dropped all of the links into the LinkedIn comments chat. I figured out I have to go directly to the page. So they can all be there now. YouTube and Facebook, you should get them now too. So all the links, I dropped the link to the ClinEssentials website, the ClinEssentials LinkedIn page, Tiffany's LinkedIn page, so you can reach out to her directly if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube page, somebody asked what's the YouTube page link. I dropped that one. Facebook, Instagram, and then also the links to both part 1 and part 2 of the interview, the podcast interview from Confessions of a CRA, my podcast that I did with Tiffany. I dropped the link to both of those episodes. So I have all the links that you need now to access all the stuff that we've talked about today, to get in touch with Tiffany, to get in touch with ClinEssentials website and see all the different services that they have for yourself. Laura said, awesome. She was asking for her daughter. So thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. I used to do, career days at high schools, and I would talk about our industry because they were blown away. They didn't know anything about our industry, and a lot of people don't know about our industry. And that's something that you can share with the younger generation. Do it, because we'll always need clinical research coordinators, CRAs, CTMs. As some are retiring, others need to come on in.
Absolutely. And we're about to have the baby boomers are retiring.
Yes.
I'm saying this, it's going to be a wave of people that are retiring, and companies are going to be forced to hire people with less than experience, on top of the fact that we have an astronomical number of trials and studies that's opening up. So this is the time, y'all, if you want to get in, do all the things we've been talking about to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany said she's going to give us a few more minutes, so y'all better get these questions in. We have another one from Roger Shakar that says, what would be the best answer if an interviewer asked to CTM, where will you see after 5 years? I think he's trying to say, where will you be after 5 years? Or where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, and that's it's a question that you should ask honestly. Some people, they've asked me, and I said, in the CTM role, because I love it. I don't want to go to project manager or project director or, director of clinical operations at a CRO, you can be honest and say, I love the CTM role and I feel like I would want to stay here, long term. They love that, as well as if you say, well, I would like to be in regulatory. It's really up to you and where you see yourself. But be honest and just give a little support. And there's no right or wrong answer to that. I mean, there's no wrong answer to that. It's just what you want to do kind of in your career. So it's okay to say, just want to stay in the CTM, because then they'll know they'll have a really good, strong senior CTM that knows how to do all of it.
I know, right? It's
Yeah.
hard to find good people. So if you say you want to stay, that works in your favor. Don't feel like saying that you want to be in that role in 5 years is a bad thing.
Yeah,
And
no.
don't be scared to say that you want to go somewhere else. Like Tiffany
Exactly.
said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say go somewhere else, I mean within the company. I always tell people, do not tell them that you plan. Don't say you plan on leaving the company. Keep that to yourself.
Yeah, not that tidbit. But if you're like, oh, data management or regulatory or contract, something else that sparks your interest, tell them about that. Because again, it's that communication. When they know things on your trajectory, they may say, oh, we got an opportunity that's unique. I know you want to be a CTM in 2 years, but there's an opportunity right now. It's a very easy study. What do you think? And then you have the opportunity to move into it sooner.
Absolutely. And y'all, I'm gonna give y'all a few more minutes. Tiffany said she's open to, she's gonna give us a few more since we had those technical difficulties. But I do want to share Jasmyn's comments and just say that she took the CTM class and that there's a wealth of information. The gain is priceless. So it's not just me saying, and it's not just Tiffany. We have other people that have taken it. And it really is. I'm not just saying this either because I like you, Tiffany. It really is like, y'all, I'm telling you, it's and I've worked at this point, like all the top 10 CROs, and you're not going to get this training anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they kind of leave you they'll say, we'll give you something. It's just some SOPs. And then they'll say, okay, we checked you off. You trained on the SOPs. And then you're just kind of swimming by yourself. And there's some things that if only someone told you to do it, you're like, man, that could have saved me a lot of heartache. So this is what that course is. And during our one of our last lives, we even had a clinical research recruitment firm come on, and we did an interview for like a CTM contractor position. We talked about salary negotiation for CTM contractor roles. These are things that you wouldn't see or find anywhere else. It's like that inside information that you get and it's explained in the layman's terms on why they said this or how to respond to this, etc.
Absolutely. And so we're about 10 minutes past the hour now. I see a lot of thank yous coming in. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I see a lot of, this was great. I see a lot of great things coming through. Thank you. Thanks. So let us know how helpful this is. We might be open to a part 2. We can do this again.
Exactly.
Always open to suggestions. So if this is something that y'all like, you want to hear more from Tiffany, you want to learn more from Tiffany, let us know. Put it in the comments. If you want a part 2, put part 2. And we can do this again, y'all. And if you have any other special suggestions, let us know, because it's really about y'all and us trying to give you what you need. So I see some stuff coming through. It was a nice session. Thank you. Thank you. I see some thumbs up and some hearts. So yes, let us know. Thank you. Thank you. I see all of those. And we really thank you guys for listening and joining. We really appreciate it. I see some part 2s coming through. Part 2. Please, part 2 with some praying hands.
Okay, well, it looks like part 2. We're gonna have to get our part 2 going.
Yes. And so, okay, I caught the end, but this is great. Please do part 2. I would love to learn more. And Jakia, you can catch the replay. We don't know how long it'll be up, but for sure, once What Laura said part 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, Laura. And then, definitely follow me on LinkedIn, because we have a lot of different topics that we talk about. We have the community chime in. So we have some really good discussions on my page, and then also through the ClinEssentials page.
Yes, absolutely. And so I dropped all the links in the comment section. But Tiffany, you said you had a bonus for those who stayed to the end.
Yes. So, okay. So you're going to have to put this URL in the chat, but it's ClinEssentials.com/bonus.
Okay.
And then that is one of our tools that we showed you. It was the action item pad. So it's the carbonless action item pad, but we actually have a newer version that's not even on the website for purchase, that you're getting as part of, you coming and engaging with our session tonight. So this action item pad can be used by both the CRAs when you're monitoring, writing down your action items. You can email it to your study coordinator, or you can also, if you're a study coordinator, you can use it within your practice to talk to one another before your monitor comes. So use it as, if you guys aren't doing this, use it as kind of like a pre-audit prior to your monitor coming, to alleviate any issues, or as many issues as they may find. That's a really good practice that study coordinators can use, that audit, and then you can use that on your resume as your precursor to being a CRA. So if you wanted to be a CRA, you can say, I audited my colleagues' source documents in preparation to their monitoring visits. That's your stepping stone towards that CRA kind of level. So this is good. This is a good tool as well to use.
Yes, and I dropped that link in the comment, so it should be showing up on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I mean, not Instagram. I went way off track. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You should have it now. That's ClinEssentials.com/bonus. Check that out. And for everybody who, you said it a little bit before, but for those of you who are interested in speaking with you directly, is it okay for them to reach out on LinkedIn? How can they contact you?
Yeah, I definitely. So LinkedIn, you definitely can send me a private message. Sometimes I may send a voice note back because it's easier than typing. So don't be alarmed if you get a voice note back. But, sometimes people have really quick questions that we can help. But if you do need a bigger session, kind of brainstorming session, I highly suggest that you go on the website and you click career services, and then that you can book a specific session with a consultant. But you can still send me a message if you want to meet with me specifically. I can just put it, the word through the scheduling group to assign your case to me, and then we can get that booked.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining us.
You.
I know it was a special treat for me, and I'm just gonna attest for everybody else, all my listeners. It was a special treat for us all, and we really appreciate it. The people have spoken. They want part 2, so we'll work on that for y'all.
Yes.
And send us both some suggestions. Maybe y'all have like a specific topic, even that y'all want us to cover. So let us know. We do this. I do this for y'all. So please let us know. People are saying, thank you, ladies. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Exactly.
And like I said, the replay will be up for a while. So please check it out. And if you have any questions, reach out to Tiffany.
All right.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thanks everybody for joining.
All right. Thanks. Have a good evening and happy holidays.
Thanks. Yes. Happy holidays to everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye.